June 17th, 2015. It's a day we'll never forget.
These are the men and women, the 9 beautiful souls that the world knows today as the Emmanuel 9.
It is very important to me on a personal basis that we never forget the 3 survivors. Because to me, I will forever know that there are angels that live on earth.
It is more than an anniversary. It is a loss felt every day. 9 people gunned down in a church as they embraced a stranger.
But it has been 12 months, 365 days since that fateful night. And instead of surrounding Mother Emanuel to hear that horrific news, people tonight gathered to pray. ABC News 4's Lara Rolla joins us from downtown Charleston with more. Lara?
Dean, Victoria, these services were in fact extremely moving, both in song and in prayer. And the Reverend Betty Dees Clark hopes that this is just a beginning, that it will help us all move forward together.
God, we thank you for where you brought us from, and we're grateful for where you're taking us to.
On a night filled with difficult emotions, the Reverend Betty Dees Clark took to the podium to lead her congregation forward, reaching for racial reconciliation. This evening's service was inclusive of all races, genders, and ideologies. Families came together. Friends did as well, to remember, to mourn, and ultimately to transform the way this world coexists. The gentleman took to the podium and shared his experiences the night of the attack on Mother Emanuel. He admits he grew up in a Klan family, but in the moment he's about to share with you, his perspective further shifted.
I realized what was happening. I saw the shooter there in his cell, and I saw the face of your congregation member. And I was standing there with my children when she began to speak, and this is what she said. She said, "I forgive you, and I have mercy on your soul." And I grabbed my children, and I pulled them in front of the television, and I said, "I want you to watch this, because this is one of the great moments in American history right now."
And this is certainly a moment that we can all share, especially here in Charleston. And on the way to one of the other services here this evening, I ran into one of the family members of one of the victims, Myra Thompson. She said she is extremely thankful she came tonight, that she was awestruck with all of the powerful images and the powerful stories that came from reverends from all around the world who came here to talk about Mother Emanuel on this anniversary. And this was a very special evening. And of course, we hope that we can all move forward toward reconciliation together here in Charleston and nationwide. Working for you downtown, I'm Lara Rollo, ABC News 4.
And we'll have more on our Mother Emanuel remembrance in just a moment. But first, strong storms left nearly 100,000 people in the Midlands and the Low Country without power today. Yeah, nearly 6,000 people are still without power, mostly in Charleston and Berkeley counties. But the storms are gone, and they've left behind some much cooler weather. Our chief meteorologist, Dave Williams, joins us right now to explain. Dave?
Yeah, thankful those storms are gone, and thankful I didn't hear any reports of injuries, so that's a good thing. And the best part about it is we're going to get some cooler temperatures. Today was the hottest day of the year so far at 98. This weekend we'll struggle to get into the lower 80s. Now we're looking at just a few leftover showers, one there off the coast of Georgetown, a couple back toward Orangeburg, and we could see a spotty shower. Maybe a thunderstorm roll in from the north and west overnight tonight. The severe threat is long gone. That severe threat now well off to our south. But you can see rotating in on the backside of this storm system, a couple showers from time to time, and we'll continue to see that overnight tonight. But for the most part, the rain is done. Your hour-by-hour forecast, partly to mostly cloudy skies overnight tonight. A spotty shower is possible. Temperatures holding fairly steady in the lower to mid-70s. And then tomorrow, we could see a shower at times, especially on the beaches tomorrow. Not going to warm up a whole lot, and those gusty northeasterly winds will come in, and those winds will be gusting up over 30, maybe up close to 40 miles per hour on the beaches. So not a good beach day tomorrow, but I do have some better beach weather, and you'll see it in the 7-day forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Dave, thank you. This is what part of Williamsburg County saw with reports of a tornado touching down. We sent ABC News 4's Brody Hart out earlier tonight. More on his report later in our broadcast. But first, the weather this week, eerily similar to what we saw during the church shootings this time last year. Highs near 100 degrees today had people struggling to keep cool as they paid their respects to the Mother Emanuel shooting victims. The Red Cross gave out water near the church as people made their way to the TD Arena. Charleston County's Volunteer Rescue Squad even provided a ride.
And there's a lot of elderly people in this area, you know, trying to get to the church. Our units will move those patients over to the tent, to EMS, and they have a little command post set up, a cooling tent.
But regardless of heat or not, we still has to respect.
Volunteers also gave out supplies to law enforcement officers working security detail.
The governor reminded us today during the service at the TD Arena to never forget the shooting survivors. She called them angels right here on earth.
This is one politician addressed gun ownership and a need for more guidance, especially when it comes to background checks. ABC News 4's Ashley Blackstone takes us inside the TD Arena.
And may we pray.
A reverent and solemn service Friday morning. 2,000 people at TD Arena grieved and reflected on the past year.
We share the wounds of the survivors. We recall the pain only because we must never permit it to come again.
For 3 hours, members of Mother Emanuel AME, other AME churches, and the public praised and worshiped, honoring the 9 lives lost 1 year ago. Charleston Mayor John Tecklenburg highlighted the inspiration of the victims and how their compassion brought the holy city and the nation together.
That the families could find the strength to forgive him in the days that followed was an eloquent testament to the beauty of God's amazing grace.
And it was South Carolina Senator Marlin Kimpson.
Faith without works is dead.
Who got the crowd on its feet for the first standing ovation following his remarks on alleged shooter Dylan Roof and the need for stronger gun control and legislation.
Dylan Roof was not part of ISIS. He was a homegrown terrorist filled with hate right here in South Carolina. What sense does it make to have a background check law if the background check does not have to be complete before the gun is sold?
But perhaps the most moving, Governor Nikki Haley's tribute to the 3 survivors and the 9 who died.
Those 12 people, there hasn't been a day since June 17th, 2015, that I don't think about all 12. And I ask that this not be an anniversary ceremony. I ask that you think of all 12 every day.
Crowd standing strong, standing together, still rising in the midst of adversity through hope and faith.
Also inside today's service, ABC News 4's Bill Burr.
He has much more on the preachings and those who came to listen.
In the shadow of Emanuel AME Church, Palmetto patriotism was in the air and on the ground. In the summer heat, a procession of pastors and people of faith walked along Mother Emanuel Way to a prayer service honoring victims and survivors.
I think it's a time for a celebration, and that we come here today and in order to bring people together of all ethnicity.
Just means the celebration and remembrance of the lives of the 9 people that we lost in the tragedy a year ago here in Charleston.
Many of the faithful wore symbols of the men and women who died a year ago.
I'm just here to express my unity with the families and also probably do a little crying also and continue that grieving process.
After 3 hours of words, worship, and music, many of those who attended felt gratified by the outpouring.
It was moving, it was uplifting, it was joyous, it was touching, it was just, everything it should have been.
It was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful music, beautiful word, and beautiful people.
It is a very good event, and it's good to see everyone coming together, because in all, we are all God's children. Doesn't matter what color we are, what language we speak.
I was thinking that we needed to do this in this time of trial and tribulation that the whole country is going through. We've been through a lot, and we need to say that we're still standing strong.
Unity, 1 year after an unforgettable loss.
And not everyone could attend this morning's memorial, but that did not stop them from gathering at what has become a beacon, Mother Emanuel herself.
ABC News 4's Caroline Balchunas takes us to 110 Calhoun.
Outside Mother Emanuel, countless tokens of love. Love for the Emanuel 9. On this day last year, Peggy Sariski and her team of florists brought bows to the same spot.
And it really helped people put it all in perspective that there were 9 separate people that were killed.
Today, they penned 9 names.
Surreal. I mean, it's just, you know, it's sad. It's very sad. I mean,
for some, chills on this steamy hot day.
I just kind of, unfortunately, have to replay it in my head, what I imagine that day looked like.
They came from down south and up north.
What one person can do because of hatred affects the world.
The somber anniversary, worth traveling miles.
We asked our father to drop us down here because we wanted to visit and just to reflect on all that has happened. So as out-of-towners, we still feel very connected to what's happening.
There was a picture laying there that said, "Send love to Mother." You know, that really touched me, and I thought about, wow, somebody's mom is not here today. Somebody's dad is not here today, and we're here celebrating Father's Day weekend with my dad.
But the city remains Charleston strong.
We're here, we stand in spirit with them through this tragedy. They're people of faith, we're people of faith.
Still to come, before the Emanuel 9, sadly, there was the Charleston 9. 9 Charleston city firefighters lost their lives fighting a massive furniture store fire. We remember them as well.
Plus, new signs go up at Disney following the drowning death of a toddler pulled underwater by a gator.
Who stepped down after accusations of ethics violations, tries to win back his seat from an up-and-coming lawmaker. We have team coverage tonight, this state primary day 2016.
You're watching ABC News 4 at 11 with Dean Stevens, Victoria Hansen, Dave Williams, and Scott Eisberg. This is ABC News 4 at 11.
It is election night in the Low Country. Voters cast their ballots in several primary elections today. And tonight, we have the results.
Reporters Stacey Jacobson, Lara Rollo, and Brody Hart are working for you live across the Low Country as we bring team coverage of the area's most important races. We'll be going to each of them in just a moment.
But first, we begin tonight with South Carolina's 1st Congressional District. State Representative Jenny Horn challenged Congressman Mark Sanford.
And it was closer than many expected, but incumbent Congressman Mark Sanford still came out on top in this Republican primary.
ABC News 4 Stacey Jacobson is with the challenger, though, tonight, Jenny Horn. She joins us from her Somerville office. Stacey?
Yeah, Victoria, tonight Jenny Horn says she is proud of the race that she ran. She says she doesn't have any regrets about how she did it. The Associated Press called this race around 9 o'clock tonight, and they say that the latest vote totals show that Mark Sanford had about 56% of the vote to Horn's 44%. And it's interesting to note she only lost her home Dorchester County by about 3%. That gives you an idea of just how tight that this race really was. Horn has spent her night here in her law office with friends and family. She blames low voter turnout on her close loss. Now, she will no longer serve any elected office. She gave up her seat in the State House to run this campaign. She is proud, she says, of what she was able to do up against Sanford on a, quote, shoestring budget.
Makes me feel good. I'm proud. I'm proud of the race we won, and I'm very proud that we gave it our best shot, and wish turnout had been higher. Turnout was at 8%, which is pretty low. But, you know, elections have consequences.
And we caught up with Congressman Mark Sanford this morning. He voted in the Low Country, but then went back to Washington for a security briefing on the Orlando shooting. He says over the past 2 years, as he has served the Low Country in Congress, he says he's been most proud of the way he's been able to protect taxpayers' money. He says he hopes to be able to do that for yet another term. Working for you live in Somerville, Stacey Jacobson, ABC News 4.
Stacey, thank you. And Sanford will face Democratic challenger Dimitri Chernoff in the general election. Well, old is not new again in Dorchester County. Former Sheriff Ray Nash challenging current Sheriff L.C. Knight in that Republican primary.
Yeah, L.C. Knight fought off former Sheriff Ray Nash tonight, and he is now the GOP's choice for top cop in Dorchester County. Let's go live to ABC News 4's Lara Rollo at a reception for Knight tonight. Lara?
Victoria, Dean, good evening. It was a relatively close race all the way through today, but it looks like it's another 4 years for Sheriff L.C. Knight, and the votes tallied at roughly 7,300 for Knight, just about 6,000 for Nash, and that is about a 15% voter turnout for the primary here in Dorchester County, which is actually pretty good. Right now, there aren't as many people as there were here earlier this evening celebrating dancing, so we're going to go to some of that video from earlier tonight, just after the votes were tallied, and it was decided that Sheriff L.C. Knight would remain sheriff here in Dorchester County for another 4 years. Now, he needed just over 50% to claim the victory. He got roughly 52%. Knight said he is running on his record tonight in crime fighting and keeping money inside taxpayers' pockets. We spoke to him earlier this evening after those numbers were tallied. Here's what he had to say.
This army of folks behind me made this happen. I'm trying to thank every one of them I can thank. It looks like we are the winner with 52% of the vote coming in. I'm just appreciative to everybody that helped me get here, the entire Dorchester County for allowing me to serve them. I'll do my best to serve them in the same amount I've served them in the last 7.5 years.
Now, as you heard, Knight said he is very pleased with the decision tonight, thanking everybody here who voted for him and supported him throughout this campaign. Nash did send out a congratulatory email. I believe a phone call was also sent out, but we're told several of the deputies took Knight's phone tonight to allow him to appreciate this victory and to really enjoy it with his friends and family here in Somerville. Working for you in Somerville, I'm Lara Rollo, ABC News 4.
All right, thank you, Lara. And 3 Republicans tried to replace and battled former coroner Chris Nesbitt today or tonight in Dorchester County.
And we're talking about Paul brothers. Mike Giglio and Dwayne Reeves went head-to-head, but none received enough votes for an outright win, so we head to a runoff. Our Brody Hart is live in Somerville with the very latest on this race. Brody?
Now, Dean, Victoria, it's an empty patio here at the Paul brothers after party, but it's not because there's disappointment in the air. In fact, we watched the votes roll in all night long, but ultimately it was clear it'd be a tight race, but no candidate came out with 50% of the votes plus 1, which is what was needed to avoid that runoff. Now, Paul brothers did jump out to an early lead, but he finished with just over 36% of the vote. Mike Giglio finished with nearly 33% of the vote. Then coming in third was Wayne Reeves with about 30% of ballots cast. That means his candidacy is over. Mike Giglio and Paul brothers will now go head-to-head in a runoff election. We spoke earlier with Paul brothers. He said he may not have won yet, but he's not disappointed.
I feel good. I'm very encouraged and confident about tonight's results. Even though it did end up in a runoff, I'm still encouraged to press on and hopefully pull in some more supporters from the third place candidate.
There's nearly 100,000 registered voters in Dorchester County. About 14,000 ballots were cast, which is about a 15% voter turnout. So it's clear Dorchester County hasn't yet made up its mind in this election, but we'll continue to follow this as these votes come in and we get more information for this runoff election in the coming days. Working for you live here in Dorchester County, Brody Hart, ABC News 4.
All right, Brody, thank you. Let's look at another major race in the Low Country. We're talking about Senate District 41. 4 Republicans looking to take over for Senator Paul Thurmond.
And once again, it does not appear that there is a clear winner tonight, so that means a runoff. Sandy Senn so far is the top vote getter with 39%. Not enough, though, to win outright. Roy Maybank takes second with 23%. Culver Kidd and Tim Mallard ran as well. That runoff election, as you just heard, is June 28th.
Meantime, Senator Marlon Kimpson has scored a landslide win in the District 42 primary, withstanding a challenge from former Senator Robert Ford. Kimpson led at last check 78 to 21%. Ford served in the Senate for 20 years. He resigned in 2013 following an ethics investigation over campaign spending.
And now to the power struggle between the state's top 2 Republicans, Senator Hugh Leatherman, and apparently he has survived Governor Nikki Haley's attempt to unseat him.
Yeah, Leatherman is the Senate President pro tem. He faced 2 challengers in tonight's GOP primary, yet still came away with enough of the vote to avoid a runoff. Governor Haley endorsed Florence Republican Richard Skipper. He received 41% of the vote. Leatherman with 54. And we do want to remind you can go to our website for a complete look at tonight's election results. That's abcnews4.com. We'll be updating it throughout the night.
All right, and our political expert, College of Charleston political scientist Gibbs Knotts will join us a little bit later on in this newscast to talk about the outcomes. But right now, let's talk to Dave Williams for a first look at our forecast. You were out and about at Waterfront Park today for a concert, and it was blazing.
It was blazing hot out there, and it's still warm and muggy even this evening. Most of us still sitting in the 80s and barely back into the 70s. Georgetown, Moncks Corner, and Orangeburg. And with a very warm, muggy air mass in place, you can get some showers and thunderstorms to pop up from time to time. So far, it's pretty quiet through the low country, but you don't have to look far away to find some thunderstorms back here in Georgia, south of the Savannah River. And these thunderstorms have mainly been going right around the low country, up through the Midlands and into the PD. I wouldn't be too surprised if one or two of those do start to sneak in overnight tonight, but in general, we're going to keep things quiet overnight tonight. But tomorrow afternoon, another round of thunderstorms will fire up, and I think that one's going to be a little closer to us. 77 overnight tonight, and then 94 tomorrow, hot and humid. Good chance for afternoon thunderstorms. Could see a little rain lingering tomorrow night. Rain chances continue in the forecast, and the heat and the humidity for now, but eventually we will see a bit of a cool down, and you'll see it as well. It's in the 7-day forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Dave, thank you. New at 11 o'clock tonight, a controversial plan to convert one lane on the Ashley River Bridge to a bike and pedestrian lane is moving forward.
It's closer. Charleston County transportation officials made the announcement today. ABC News 4's Caroline Balchunas is working for you live tonight. She is in West Ashley. She has more on this major decision, sure to affect thousands of drivers each day. Caroline?
That's right, Dean Victoria. This proposed lane closure has been a topic of debate for several years now, but this new study may determine the future of a bike lane on the Ashley River Bridge. Two different studies come to roughly the same conclusion. Closing a lane on the Ashley River Bridge only delays traffic on Folly Road by 1 minute. It's even less for those coming from Savannah Highway and St. Andrews Boulevard. City Council member Dean Regal is against the proposed bike lane. He says the findings are surprising, but they don't change his mind.
It's really a vision. You look 50, 75, 100 years down the road. You don't look just at tomorrow. And I think the bike lane closure maybe is just a peek at tomorrow.
Regal says the State Department of Transportation may renovate the bridge in 4 years. He says the $2 million project would be a waste.
And then if in 4 years DOT wants it back, that means that the bicycle users of Charleston are renting that lane for $500,000 a year.
Local cyclist Robbie Brazel rides 40 to 50 miles a day.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely take advantage of it. I mean, Folly Beach is a great ride once you start getting down there. And the West Ashley Greenway is always really fun to ride too. It's just kind of sketchy getting over that bridge.
He says Charleston is becoming more bike friendly, and he welcomes the prospect of more options.
I usually either go over to North Charleston or go over to Mount Pleasant, go over to Isle of Palm, Sullivan's Island, because it's the easiest and definitely the most safest way.
But Regal says he does support cyclists and pedestrians.
I also believe there's a better solution with the Ashley River Bridge than what's being proposed.
Councilman Regal says City Council will likely revisit and look at this issue sometime in July or August, but it must go to the County Council first. Working for you in Charleston, Caroline Balchunas, ABC News 4.
All right, Caroline, thank you. New at 11 o'clock tonight, Charleston police are asking for your help finding a 19-year-old man. Brandon Hamilton is wanted in connection to an armed robbery on Kroll Drive. It happened last month. There is a warrant out for his arrest. Police say he is about 5'10", 150 pounds. If you have any information about his whereabouts, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers at 554-1111.
New tonight, a major Christian organization wants its members to furl the Confederate battle flag for good. The Southern Baptist Convention passed a resolution today calling on Christians to stop displaying it. An African-American pastor proposed it. Now, thousands of delegates at the convention's annual meeting passed the resolution this afternoon. It acknowledges the flag is a symbol of racism for many and a sign of Civil War heritage for others. It calls on Christians to stop displaying it. All right, there's some new developments tonight in that Orlando nightclub massacre. The owner of another LGBT club says he got a Facebook friend request from the gunman just last week. Michael Bass says he looked through Omar Mateen's friends list but did not recognize anyone. The That is until after Sunday's shooting. Authorities also say they're trying to determine if the suspect had been to the Pulse nightclub before. That's the one he attacked. They are now looking through his cell phone. They do believe that his wife had been there before.
And from one terrible act of violence aimed at the LGBT community to another one that California police likely prevented, 20-year-old James Howell of Indiana was charged today with felony weapons violations. California authorities say they arrested him Sunday in Santa Monica with 3 assault rifles and explosives in his car. Authorities say Howell was on his way to a large gay pride parade in L.A. with hundreds of thousands of people in attendance. All right, still to come at 11, a closer look at tonight's election results through the eyes of our political analyst, Dr. Gibbs Knotts. He'll sit down with us next.